Welcome, everybody, to the new Behind the Frenzy podcast. I am your host, Dean Holzwarth, along with Wood Sports Director Jack Doles, as well as photojournalist Andy McDonald. We will be taking a sneak peek every week at some of the top plays and top performances in high school football and give sights and sounds from everybody who goes out on Friday nights and brings coverage to you.
Yeah, I'm glad we can do this in this format. It's not me and Alec and Laney. We're bringing you two of the other people that are really important in us delivering a football frenzy every week. We had 29 games the first week. That's a lot of photographers that have to go out. But we also get support from Dean and from Andy because they do a lot of great writing for us as well. So, the football frenzy is highlights on the air that night, but there's a lot of lead up each week and just a lot of information we want to give out there. And so we can't do it without people like these two right here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. Thanks, Jack. Okay, good.
And what I love is you guys just keep coming back.
I think this is my 9th year.
This is my 7th
doing Football Frenzy at Wood TV.
Kent Wissing, one of our photographers. Yep. This is his 25th year.
Wow.
He's shot for one of the other stations, and then he came to us, I don't know, about 20 years ago. And so he comes back every year. And Jeff Everett has been doing it forever. Derek Hughes, this is his 20th year, I believe. He started when he was in college. So a lot of everybody's got other jobs, but these Friday nights are fun.
Yes, they are.
It's great to just get everybody in that room, and nonsense that goes around the room it just makes it fun. But and then the final product has got to be there, and it's much better because we have people that have done this for years, that understand the game of football, and so they come back with these highlights. Hey, what would you like? So we'll have 20 games this week. Okay. You will have 12 photographers go out. They come back in the room. We got to talk. Hey, what do you need? What do you need? I need 3 highlights from this game, 2 highlights from that game, 5 highlights from that game, and so everybody gets in motion. And we throw it all together, and suddenly we have about 13 minutes to fill on air, and it goes by faster than you can imagine.
This guy deserves some credit too. He's the reason we keep coming back.
He
by
does.
the way,
I've never seen.
Just make sure we say that
I've
as well.
never seen Jack stressed on a Friday night.
No.
It gets a little chaotic.
It's unbelievable.
But everything goes as smooth as possible, and it's great. Like I love that feel of week one, like just stepping onto the football field and seeing the excitement in the crowd and the build up for week one. Yeah. It's so much fun. I look forward to it every year. Yeah. There's nothing like it. Yeah, we're looking forward to kind of bringing you the sights and sounds of each week and takeaways from each week and kind of looking ahead to the big games coming up. So I guess first of all, we will start from week one. It was a busy week one.
Sure was.
Yeah.
We had some upsets, I feel like. We had some big wins over quality teams playing each other. What were some of your takeaways, Jack, that you saw week one?
Well, I love the fact that we're seeing teams like Muskegon always plays somebody. They're never playing down weeks 1 and 2. They always go out, they test themselves, and I think it really helps them down the line. Now, they lost to Zeeland West, which is no longer a conference game for them. It has been, but now that the conferences have changed up, this was a non-conference game and a tough one, playing John Shillito's Wing T, who's they haven't won that many games against Muskegon, but they've always played them tough. Well, last week, they beat them 28-13. Just a great performance in that game. They jumped out to a nice lead. Keaton Hendricks, 57-yard touchdown, 38-yard touchdown. John Shillito talked about him being, a track and field athlete. So he's got that speed. And, with that wing tee where they play peekaboo with the ball, if you give that guy just a little bit of a seam, I think we're going to see a lot of big plays from him this season.
And if we know Muskegon, they're not going to be affected by that week one loss.
Yeah, remember last year they started the season 0-2.
Yes.
Yep.
And then they went on to win the state championship, reeled off 12 straight.
Yep.
Well, this week, Muskegon plays at Rockford. And Rockford opened the season at home against Detroit Cass Tech, and they beat them. They got off to a great start in that game, jumped out to a 17-0 lead, and then by the end they were holding on for dear life. Well, they held on. They beat Detroit Cass Tech, a team that a lot of people figured was 1, 2, 3 in the state coming into the season, and they probably will be by the end.
Yep.
But imagine the confidence this gives Rockford going forward, and especially come playoff time, when they've got to face some of these big dogs.
I mean, what a measuring stick. I mean, to be able to beat a team that early from that quality of an opponent from that area, I mean, when our teams get those wins, it usually means a lot going forward, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then Braden Daniels started his first game. Does that not sound like a quarterback?
Yes.
Just that name.
Yes, it does.
So he makes his first high school start, and it's against Detroit Cass-Tech.
Yeah.
And he wins the game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not something a lot of people can say.
And Rockford's obviously had a lot of success in the regular season. Haven't lost since 2019.
Yeah.
Against Granville that year. So 42 straight games now they've won. And
Brent Cummings has never lost a regular season game.
Never lost regular season.
Think about
game.
that.
That's insane. Taking over after somebody like Ralph Munger, too, who was such a legendary coach in this area for so long and then did not lose. Yeah. You're living up to the standards, that's for sure.
He's done a tremendous job, and I think they have approximately 100 guys on that roster. So they definitely have some depth.
When you see them run out, it's just like, what small college am I watching right now? Week
At
in,
that
week
stadium,
out.
everything else.
That top to bottom, that program, it's definitely one of our themes this week would be Blue Bloods from West Michigan, and they're right near the top of that heap.
They are. Some of our conference or teams in the OK Conference are gone.
Yeah, a lot of shakeup with the OK. I mean, a lot of these teams left the OK Conference. Don't forget about that. Allendale, Cedar Springs, Coopersville, Kennewa Hills, Greenville, Lowell, and Sparta all make up the River Cities Alliance this year. So these conferences, you're going to have to take a double take when we start talking about OK Green. Well, the OK Green, Byron Center, Forest Hills Northern, Union, Muskegon, Mona Shores, and Reese Puffer. So Mona Shores, Reese Puffer, Muskegon all move, and Union all move from the OK Black, and now they're part of the Green. What used to be the Green with Forest Hills, Zeeland East, Zeeland. Hang on a minute. Might have to edit this. I got this wrong, don't I? Because Zeeland West was part of the Green.
Yes, they were with the Zeeland East, Muskegon, Reese Puffer.
All right, let's ask that question again, and we'll just edit that.
Yep.
Jack, new realignment this year. We have some teams who left the OK Conference and formed their own River Cities Alliance. Talk about the shakeup there, Jack.
Yeah, that was. I remember hearing when this was starting. A lot of schools were just unhappy about the realignment and where they were going to be put. So now you've got Allendale, Cedar Springs, Coopersville, Kennewa Hills, Greenville, Lowell, and Sparta are part of the River Cities Alliance. And there was a lot of shakeup then in the conferences, which were going to be shaken up anyway. But now they look completely different, except for the OK Red. The Red is the same. Rockford, Jenison, Caledonia, East Kentwood, Grand Haven, Hudsonville, West Ottawa, and Granville. Top to bottom, one of the toughest conferences around. Yeah. But the OK Green now adds Byron Center and Forest Hills Northern. They lose Zeeland East and Zeeland West. But Byron Center might be one of the top 5-10 teams in the state, no matter what class. All the kids they have coming back, that might be the best team in this area. We'll see how it all shakes out. And they're certainly going to be tested with Muskegon and Mona Shores on their schedule. The OK Gold now, Zeeland East, Zeeland West, Unity Christian, South Christian, Forest Hills Central, and Wyoming. Holy cow, that's a difficult conference. I can't wait till basketball season for that. But football-wise, we saw Unity Christian week 1, and they crushed Whitehall, who hadn't lost a regular season game in 2 years. So, and they had a rough year last year, Unity, but they look really good in week 1. Won't be surprised if they're one of those teams to beat. South Christian, how many times do they need to get to the state finals before we call them a West Michigan blue blood? Made it there last year. Carson Viss, one of the all-time great performances in the state finals, and he came out against Grand Rapids Christian. They were a little shaky at first, but at the end of that first half, where they, touchdown, pooch kick, recover it, touchdown with 2 seconds left, put that game away, and then went on to win this with another unbelievable performance.
Yeah, he had five touchdowns. He threw for 4, ran for another. So
he doesn't stop. That's for sure.
Think about his last 2 games.
Yeah,
what he did at the state finals.
Unbelievable.
And now what he does first week 1. Let's talk about him in the Mr. Football conversation. He's a senior.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about him in the Mr. Football. We're going to be talking about him in the Mr. Basketball conversation this year.
Absolutely.
What an athlete. OK White, Forest Hills Eastern, Grand Rapids Christian, West Catholic in the white now, Hamilton, Spring Lake, and Wayland. And Forest Hills Eastern and West Catholic, those are really the two teams to look out for in the white.
Yeah, I think Forest Hills Central or Forest Hills Eastern is going to take that jump this year. You know, they lost a close game to South Christian in the postseason last year. A lot of guys returning.
Yeah.
Really good offensive line. I think they're going to make the jump here and contend for a state title this year.
Program that's been building and building.
Name's only been getting bigger every single season. So.
And then the OK Black, Catholic Central, East Grand Rapids. Again, two really good-looking teams. Northview, Ottawa Hills, Holland Christian, Thornapple Kellogg. That'll be another great basketball conference as well.
It will.
Sure.
And Catholic Central should be the favorite.
Yeah.
A little bit of a slow start this Friday, but it seemed like they figured it out on offense as the game went along.
Yeah, young quarterback making his first start. So it takes time, but their defense looked fantastic. Forced a bunch of turnovers. And again, they were playing a team from Indiana. This week they play a team from Canada. It's crazy how many schools are having to go outside of the state. We thought maybe this wouldn't be a problem when they got rid of the 6 wins to get in rule. But, I mean, Muskegon doesn't have an opponent next week, and they're playing Moeller in week, I believe, 9. So it's like, I don't understand. I thought we were supposed to be able to make it easier to schedule.
Speaking of out of state, Granville headed down to near Columbus to play Pickerington North, and a lot of points scored in that game.
For sure. Yeah, I would definitely think that's coming.
Jaden Terry, 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
Yeah.
53-51, and Pickerington North kicks the field goal last second to win.
After Granville had such a big play to take the lead, too, with the 2-point conversion.
They were down 3 scores
in
that game in the second half. So Granville will fight you. I don't know how good Pickerington North is this year, but traditionally they're very good.
Yes.
In Ohio high school football is usually probably a little top to bottom, a little stronger than Michigan, but still a great performance out there by Granville.
Yeah, Jaden Terry, over 200 yards rushing, obviously one to watch here, and as they kind of come up with a big game against Rockford in week 3.
For sure.
So that would be one to watch as well.
Yep.
So we are actually going to right now spotlight some of the top prospects from around the area. Alan True.
Yeah. 247 Sports.
247 Sports made his list of the top 10 prospects from around the area. So we are going to hear from him now.
Tune up the band. Don't lose your voice. And hold on for the ride. It's another year of high school football with so many talented athletes in every conference. 24/7's recruiting writer Alan True helps us get ready for the season with his top 10 football players in West Michigan. Just because it's a list of the best football players doesn't mean they can't get it done on the court as well. Number 10, Cam Thompson from Whitehall, can do it all.
When you're 6'3" and that good at basketball, and then you turn on his football tape and he's using those skills to make contested catches, and he hasn't focused truly on one sport yet. I really think he can play either side of the ball in football too. Just one of the best all-around athletes in West Michigan.
We're leaping from Whitehall to Catholic Central for number 9, Jamie Williams, who's logged plenty of frequent flyer miles on the field.
I think he's a little bit under-recruited right now. Kind of a big outside receiver, also has a basketball background, can go up and get the ball, a guy who's going to fight for it and win when the ball's in the air. I think somebody's going to get a steal with him.
Let's go! At number 7, we go big. J.J. Hurtis, big. The same school that gave Ohio State Gabe Van Sickle has another mauler on the offensive line.
When you watched Gabe, kept saying, like, who's the other guy on that line who's a really good player? Big frame, he's the kind of West Michigan offensive lineman we've talked about. I think he's going to be super successful at Western.
Allen may as well go ahead and put number 6 on his list next year. Granville's Jaden Terry earns a spot for his 3rd straight season.
One of these days he's going to graduate, but he's been on the radar for so long. He's been a productive player, great player for them. Legitimate speed, he's shown that on the track. He was planning on being recruited when he was in middle school. So I think he's been very prepared for this moment.
We're going to stop by Muskegon for a bit, because they've built an offensive line that will give West Michigan headaches. First up, Jim Harris, whose rapid improvement had plenty of schools interested.
At first, maybe they were initially sure what they were going to get with him, and then as the year went on, he just improved so much from game one to the end of the year. Really, really good player. Still so much potential left there to go.
We head to the other side of the trench. Ricardo Kitchen, who as a sophomore is about to be very familiar with college recruiters.
I think by next year, or certainly by the year after, he might be the last guy we talk about on this list because he's so talented. I think when you watch a kid who's 6'6", 215 pounds, run down a skill guy from behind, 30, 40, 50 yards downfield, that's just super rare, but explosive. And there's even coaches who have watched his tape in Detroit who say, that guy might be the #1 recruit in the 2027 class.
If you find a way to get past Jim Harris on the Big Red Line, good luck beating number 4, Nakai Wynn.
Super, super physical. They teach that at Muskegon. He embraces it. He's, I think, when you say safe, I just don't see a way he doesn't go to college and is productive and starts multi-years for Rutgers.
Muskegon head coach Shane Fairfield isn't taking all the credit. He says this group wants to make each other better.
The strength is the fact that they accept the challenge, that they have their own measurables, and then they have their bar that they've set.
We go off the beaten path for number 3. Lawton's Mason Maine's mauling ability caught the attention of Northwestern.
A lot of people around the state, and maybe even in West Michigan, might not know about him because he's at Lawton, but man, I think he's one of the best players in the state. I think Northwestern came in and stole one. He's an incredible weight room guy. He's throwing the shot over 60 feet. Just a great all-around athlete, and at that level of football, he's a dominant force on Friday night.
Domination is all Maine is interested in.
Constant, non-stop destruction is what I'd call it.
Over at Paw Paw, if someone scores a touchdown, you better believe 6'7" Darren Stray is there for liftoff. The big guy earns his second nod on the list.
You can't just be big, and he's put in a lot of time and work. He started even working out with Paw Paw's track team last summer to improve on his quickness and speed. I thought that made a huge difference when you look at the difference between his sophomore tape and his junior year.
So many great players, but there can only be one #1. That goes to Portage Northern's Gregory Patrick, who's #1 on plenty of colleges' recruiting boards, but you wouldn't know it by talking to him.
Kind of has that lineman mentality too. Doesn't, talk about himself a lot when you do interviews with him.
Right now, I'm just focused on these guys, and being in high school, because you only get to experience once, and once you get to college, it's a business. It's not like you just get to go out there and play with your best friends.
When you look at that, it's a combination of athleticism, it's a combination of technique, and intangible, and he has all of those. So I felt really safe about saying Gregory Patrick is going to be an impact player in college.
Well, that will do it for our first Week 1 podcast. Jack, Andy, thanks for joining me tonight, and we look forward to providing lots of coverage throughout the season. Please turn to woodtv.com for more coverage.
We'll see you on the Frenzy this Friday.
Yeah, we will.
Frenzy, thank you very much.